14th. This is the Common Council meeting. All alderpersons are present and in person. Our next item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance and silent prayer in lieu of invocation. If you could please stand. Okay. All right, welcome everybody. Our next item is reading of the minutes of the previous meeting held on September 14th. Well, what are your wishes? I'm sorry, November 14th. Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve. Any additions, corrections? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. We're on to item 5, Common Council appointment of election inspectors for the 2024 and 2025 term. Can we probably take them individually? Okay, sounds good. So are the nominees from the Democratic Party? We need a motion to approve these. Mr. Rayom?
Thank you. Just to go over again, I guess, how, Jennifer, you pick the people who serve on.
So the two main political parties are allowed to, or invited to send me lists of appointees. They must be appointed by the council, but the only way they would be disqualified is if they were not a qualified elector in Wood County, or if they were otherwise disqualified, serving parole, etc. And then so that's for the parties. The unaffiliated ones are, we have to use the party people first, and then I can choose from the unaffiliated list. Does that answer the question? Okay.
And what are your wishes regarding A? We have a motion by Katnaugh, seconded by Zacher. To approve, I assume? Yeah. I like the sweater. I just noticed. All right, seeing no questions, please cast your ballot. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. We're on the Republican Party, and just to note, Mike Deary is listed in the Republican Party and the unaffiliated nominees. He is just for the Republican Party and not for the unaffiliated.
Motion to approve.
Oh, there you are. Thank you. And we have Mr. Veneman seconded. Mr. Rayom?
Thank you, Your Honor. I guess it'd be a question. It is a question. As we've all seen in with the national elections and that, and people being involved with Stop the Steal and that type of thing, and questioning whatever, there's been nothing proven that anything happened. If anybody in any of these would be that they had been involved in something like this, would that be a grounds for them not serving?
Well, you ultimately approve, I guess, so I'm not, it's not just a rubber stamp, but, I mean, I guess, right? Exactly. I'm just saying he's free to not approve the list if he wants to. It's not, right.
All right, seeing nothing further, please cast your ballots. That motion carries 7 ayes, 1 nay. And we're on to item C, which is the unaffiliated nominees. What are your wishes? Motion by Rayom, seconded by Zacher. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. We're on to item 6 is consider for confirmation Mayor Blazer's appointment to various committees, commissions, boards. See attachment 5. What are your wishes, questions, comments? We have a motion by Benke, second by Austin. Mr. Rayom?
I hate to be the only one here, but, and not that I'm against it, but I don't believe I know who the gentleman is for the Park and Rec.
Yep, we did our usual trying to advertise to find interested people. He was a person that submitted his name. I called him. Nice gentleman. He just recently retired, looking to get involved in the community. Family uses the park system and the programs, the grandkids, and so it sparked an interest in him.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Otherwise, I don't know him either. Yep, yeah, we're going to get, he's definitely interested. Okay, seeing no other questions, please cast your ballots. Yes. That motion carried, 8 ayes, 0 nays. We're on item 7 is the second reading of an ordinance amending portions of Section 8 sewage regulations regarding limitations on mercury discharge. Mr. Budsberg's present if you have any questions this time around. Mr. Katnoff.
No questions on the ordinance itself. I feel like we've vetted that pretty well at the previous meeting. But at which point do we go towards reading a ordinance once?
Probably after this one.
I feel like this would have been the first, should have been the first one. No?
No, because the last,
Reading was,
the time that you passed the one reading ordinance, that had to be published, and that was after the council meeting, so this
Okay.
had already been there one time, and so it needed to come back. This is the last one before the new ordinance takes effect.
Sounds good, thank you.
Motion to approve?
thank you. We have a motion to approve, second by Bemke. Mr. Delaney.
I don't think this was very well gone through. The questions that I had asked, it kind of sounded like we had gotten a list of other municipalities and what they did. We never really dug into how they came up with those numbers. And besides that, it was just an average of what other people had done. What I would like to see done is more thought out process as to how they came up with these numbers, because I still don't know if this is the right number, if it's too high or too low, what normal groundwater has in it, and whatnot. So that's why I'm still going to oppose this.
Sounds good. I didn't know if you had a specific question for Derek. Okay. Seeing nothing else, please cast your ballots to approve the ordinance. That motion carried 7 ayes to 1 nay. We're on to item 8, consider for adoption the action of the Plan Commission meeting held on December 5th. Mr. Kearns?
Thank you, Mayor. The Plan Commission met at 4 p.m. on December 4th in the council chambers. A list of all attendees is available in the clerk's office or our office. The meeting was called to order at 4 p.m. The first item was approval of the report from November 6th, 2023. There was a motion by Marutz and a second by Goudreau to approve the report from the November 6th Plan Commission meeting. That motion carried 6-0. Item 2 was a request from Badgerland Survey LLC for a certified survey map to create one lot from two lots addressed at 1212 Snyder Street and 1220 Snyder Street. Staff provided a summary of the request recommending approval. There was a motion by Davin to approve the request, second by Austin. That motion carried 6-0. Item 3 was a request from John Kastner and a public hearing for action to amend the city's comprehensive plan, specifically map 7-2, future land use map, to reclassify a portion of 1501 24th Street South from commercial land use classification to an industrial land use classification. Staff provided a summary of the item. In conjunction with item 4, denial was recommended as the proposal was not consistent with the city's comprehensive plan and zoning ordinance. There's a public hearing at 4:09. No one spoke against. One member did speak in favor, Brandon Locke. 3, Brandon Locke, Kelly Wendorf, and John Kastner. That public hearing closed at 4:15 p.m. There was some discussion amongst the commission, and it was determined that they would seek an ordinance amendment at a future date rather than approving the item. There was a motion by Blazer to approve the request for an amendment to the city's comprehensive plan, second by Davin. That motion failed 0-6. Item 4 was a request from John Kastner, public hearing and action on zoning map amendment, specifically to rezone a portion of 1501 24th Street South from R2 Mixed Residential District to M1 General Industrial District. A public hearing opened at 4:36 p.m. No one spoke against or in favor. That public hearing closed at 4:37. Again, this item was in relation to item 3, so there was a motion by Blazer to approve the request for the rezoning, second by Austin. That motion failed 0-6. Item 5 was a request from Howard LLC, Tweet Garrett Mechanical, Inc., for site plan review to perform site improvements at 2810 Jefferson Street. Staff provided a summary of the request and recommended approval with conditions outlined in the staff report. There was a motion by Austin to approve the site plan review, a second by Davin. That motion carried with 6 conditions of approval. Again, that motion carried 6-0. Item 6 was a discussion on the zoning ordinance changes to simplify and review the process for certain request developments and uses. No action was taken. Discussion occurred amongst staff and the commission regarding the item. Item 7 was discussion on zoning ordinance change for mobile vendors to operate in a residential zoning district. Again, discussion occurred amongst staff. No action was taken amongst the commission. Number 8 was discussion on downtown planning initiatives. Again, discussion occurred amongst staff and the commission. No action was taken. Item 9 was adjournment. There was a motion by Austin to adjourn, second by Tao. That motion carried 6-0. The meeting was adjourned at 4:57 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Katna?
Thank you. Is Mr. Kastner here? Does
No.
anybody recognize him?
Nope, he's not here.
Okay, so obviously wasn't at the planning commission, but this is by Home Depot.
Correct.
It said you spoke, the minute said you spoke at it and regarding future land use. I'm wondering what the thought is there with the future land use, is why we wouldn't want taxable property there.
So what? So the only zoning code that allows for storage units is industrial, and nobody on the planning commission, including myself, made sense to change that to industrial, because you have industrial use, you have potentially a residential development behind it, you have Home Depot, and you have an assisted living. So that with that zoning classification, they could sell it the year after, and they could put a factory there if they wanted. So the concern was making sure the use would fit within that area. And so we asked Kyle to bring back an option, because we want to see it happen, and we support it, and that's kind of what it was spoken about.
Okay.
But we want to find a different zoning code for it, or a different zoning that will allow, and Kyle's going to bring back at our next meeting a conditional use permit in a different zoning, so we can allow that there. But we also don't want to allow Alston A Street to be all storage units.
Yeah.
You know, so it's really trying to find that balance, but we want to see the development happen there, but we just don't want to change it to industrial.
Yeah.
So we need an option and a different code to be able to do that.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
everybody's in support of that, and that's why we all voted it down
Okay.
to bring back something.
All right. Thank you for the clarification on that. Sounds like the zoning code needs some changes. If that needs to come through council, I think we definitely need to create some type of other district for storage units to be in besides industrial. Not that I think Rapid should be full storage units, but I do have questions on the development of Rapids on the outer city limits, pushing outward, the ones that have been kind of vacant for a long time, and what we're going to do with those. We always have a plan for downtown, but I'd like to see where we're at in regards to projects like this, if that's going to be the outside of Rapids, if we have any other ideas to create, just a more net new construction and get things moving. So
And the developers were at the plan commission, and they're aware of, we support the project, we just didn't support it going to industrial, and they kind of understood that.
okay, thank you.
Mr. Delaney?
I was just wondering if there was I have two things. This is the first one, the 3 and 4. If there was anything else that we could have done, because obviously everybody sees the benefit with what they're proposing, and everybody is for that, but yet because of the rules, we are like stopped in moving this forward. Is there anything else that could have been done, such as a special permit with the current zoning?
So,
Go ahead, Kyle.
in receiving this request, I could have said, no, you can't do it because the zoning code doesn't allow it, go find another location or another community. But that's not what happened. There were really three options that they could have pursued. They could have pursued a rezoning and comp plan amendment, which is what they did pursue, an ordinance amendment, or a use variance. And so as staff, right, I also saw the importance and recognized the kind of uniqueness and felt that this development would fit within this area with the recent institutional uses, the commercial and the residential in the township. So I think generally support the development, but the zoning code did not permit it in any form the way it was currently proposed. So those three options existed. They pursued the rezoning and the comp plan amendment first. And I think that was probably a maybe better option for them and was recommended to them. Ultimately, right, I think as we looked at it further, the request looked at how it would be impacted in the entire area. We recommended denial. But I think at the Plan Commission meeting suggested that another option would be the ordinance amendment. The downside with the ordinance amendment is that, as the mayor indicated, we want to make sure that if we're permitting storage units within other districts or we're creating a separate district, that we're not going to jeopardize the nature of other areas of the city like 8th Street or West Grand Avenue with an abundance of storage units. We want to make sure we protect those neighborhoods and those areas of the city because storage units, right, they don't really garner that much traffic. They take up a lot of land area. So, if you're thinking about a commercial corridor, usually you want traffic, you want activity, you want businesses, and storage units typically don't do that. So what we're looking to do in January then is bring an ordinance amendment back to Plan Commission and ultimately Common Council to make sure that the development can still move forward. The developer is still engaged with us. They're still willing to wait and wait for the process and the approval, and then hopefully start the project before the end of the year, 2024.
Okay. And
Yeah, I was going to say that there wasn't an urgency. It wasn't something that we needed to have ready for April, and they were planning and being diligent well enough in advance so we could get things in order.
okay, and the other thing I wanted to speak about was item 6. I did watch this meeting, and I really thought that we could expand on 6. I wish it was a actionable item in some case, just so that the planning department could see what the council has to say. As far as I'm concerned, I think that your department should have the authority to approve permits. And without council approval, for many reasons, I think the more latitude, when you brought that forward, you brought just a few examples. I think that it should be a lot broader, and you should be able to approve things within your department without council approval a lot more than you do. That would speed up the process, and it'd be a more business-friendly environment to have people come in and just get stuff done through your department. So I don't know if there's any way that we could
Yeah.
make that an actionable item and have further discussion on it.
Yep. So I think maybe February, I think he's going to bring back something more actionable. But I believe we're also constrained by state law that we can only do certain things without the governing body approving. And so I think Plan Commission agrees that what latitude we can give to Kyle to approve internally, we would like to see that happen. But I think the state restricts us in state law and how far we can go with that. But we plan to try to expand it as much as possible. Because we agree. Okay, what's your wishes? I have a motion and a second to approve the item as presented. Correct? Okay, just confirming. All right, yep. Please cast your ballots. That motion carries 8 ayes, 0 nays. We're on to item number 9. Consider the adoption of the action of the standing committees of the Common Council as follows. A, Finance and Property Committee meeting held December 5th. Mr. Zacher.
So the report of the Finance and Property Committee meeting, December 5th, 2023. All members of the Finance and Property Committee were present. Item 1, call to order. Chairperson Zacher called the meeting to order at 4:00 p.m. Item 2, review and consider for approval a shared ride taxi operating contract and public transit lease agreement between the City of Wisconsin and City of Wisconsin Rapids and Running, Inc. It was moved by Venneman, seconded by Zacher to approve. The motion carried 2-1 with Bemke voting in the negative. Item 3, consider a request from the Community Development Department to utilize $50,000 in Tax Increment District 7 for the creation of a downtown development master plan. It was moved by Venneman, seconded by Bemke to approve. The motion carried 3-0. Item 4, consider a request to amend the Community Development Department fee schedule. It was moved by Bemke, seconded by Venneman to approve. The motion carried 3-0. Item 5, consider a request from E-Way Sales LLC doing business as E-Way Sales, Jonathan Rudder, agent located at 2660 8th Street South, number 105, for renewal of pawnbroker, secondhand article dealer, and secondhand jewelry dealer licenses. It was moved by Bemke, seconded by Venneman to approve, and the motion carried 3-0. Item 6, consider a request from GameStop, Inc., doing business as GameStop, number 3254, Mark Heyman Robinson, agent located at 930 Coon Avenue for renewal of a secondhand article dealer license. It was moved by Venneman, seconded by Bemke to approve, and the motion carried 3-0. Out of the bills, this item will be considered at the January 2024 Finance and Property Committee meeting. No action was taken. Next meeting date. Next meeting date was a Finance and Property Committee was scheduled for Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024 at 4 p.m. Item 9, in open session, the committee may vote to go into closed session under section 19.851E of Wisconsin statutes, which reads deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. It was moved by Benjamin, seconded by Benjamin to go into closed session. Roll call vote was taken. All members voted in the affirmative. Motion carried 3-0, and the committee went into closed session. In closed session, the committee will discuss negotiations and strategy regarding an agreement with the Heart of Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce for economic development and other services. In closed session, the committee discussed negotiations and strategy regarding an agreement with the Heart of Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce for economic development and other services. Item 10, the committee may adjourn in closed session or return to open session. It was moved by Venom and seconded by Zacher to adjourn in closed session. Motion carried 3-0, and the meeting adjourned at 6:15 p.m. With this, I submit the minutes for approval.
Thank you. Do you have any items that need to be held up? Okay, is there a motion and a second? Go ahead. Is there, yeah, go ahead.
For item 9, we had discussed some ideas that were going to be brought, and was that going to be in a closed meeting, or?
It was my understanding that that would be for next month, January.
Okay,
Property and Finance.
sounds good.
So I'm
Thank you.
prepared to do a presentation in January.
Okay, thank you.
All right, is there a motion? We have a motion by Catnaw to approve, seconded by Veneman. Any further discussion? All right, please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. Thank you very much for attending. Item B is Public Works Committee meeting held December 7th. Mr. Rayom.
Thank you, Your Honor. Public Works Committee met on Thursday, December 7th, 2023, in the council chambers at City Hall. All members are present, others attending are on file. Item 1 was called the meeting order. It's called the order at 5 p.m. Item 2, review the Engineering and Street Department monthly activity reports. The reports were reviewed. Item 3, review and consider adding a street light at the southeast corner of 16th Street South and Pepper Avenue. There's a motion and a second to add a street light on 16th Street South at Pepper Avenue, and that motion carried 3-0. Item 4, review and consider adding yield signs at the intersection of 10th Street South and Peach Street. There's a motion and a second to add yield signs on 10th Street South at Peach Street, and that motion carried 3-0. Item 5, review the referral list. The list was reviewed. Item 6, set next meeting date. The next regular meeting is set for Thursday, January 4th at 5 p.m. And item 7 was to adjourn. There was a motion by Rayom, seconded by Pollock, to adjourn at 5:28 p.m. That motion carried 3-0. With that, Your Honor, I'll move for adoption of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Rayom. We have a motion by Rayom, seconded by Pollock. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, please cast your ballots. And that motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. We're on to item C, Human Resource Committee meeting held December 7th. Mr. Bemke.
Thank you, Mayor. Human Resource Committee met Thursday, December 7th at 4:15 in the council chambers. List of those in attendance is on file in the clerk's office. Item number 1, meeting was called to order at 4:17 p.m. Item number 2, discuss and consider for approval the creation of 2 assistant swim coach positions within the Parks and Recreation Department. There was a motion by Catnaw, seconded by Bemke, to approve the swim team positions as presented, including a swim coach and 2 assistant coaches at the pay rates and job responsibilities as outlined. Motion carried 2-0. Item number 3 was an HR update. Discussion took place. There was no action taken. Item number 4, adjournment. There was a motion by Bemke, seconded by Catnaw to adjourn. Motion carried, 2-0. Meeting adjourned at 4:29 PM. And with that, I will submit for approval the minutes of the Human Resource Committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Bemke. What are your wishes? We have a motion by Bemke and seconded by Austin. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, please cast your ballots. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays. Item 10 is reports of other committees, commission, boards, and department reports. You see the list there. You can read them at your pleasure. We're on to item 11. Any referrals to committees? No referrals. We're on to item 12, adjournment. What are your wishes? Is there a motion? We have a motion and a second. Please cast. That motion carried 8 ayes, 0 nays, and it is 6:31. Everyone have a Merry Christmas and a safe, Happy New Year, and we will see you next year where we do it all again.